Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Get to Know a Theater. I'm Greg Heilman with the Sound on Stage. Today I'm joined by Taproot Theater's producing artistic director, Karen Lund. Welcome to the show. Welcome back. This is the second time we've talked to you. Before we had you on Behind the Curtain to talk about the Book of Will before that opened. So, but today we want to talk about all things Taproot. And first of all, how long have you been associated with Taproot?
Oh, wow. All right, get ready to do some math because I started with Taproot in 1991 as an actor. Then I joined the staff in 1993. And I was the associate artistic director for many of those years until I took over as the producing artistic director during a very delightful time during the COVID shutdown.
Nothing like a challenge, right?
Right. So 2021 is when I took over. And it's been really exciting ever since.
I bet. Well, how long has Taproot been around?
We are 48 years old, and we're coming up very quickly to our 50th anniversary season.
Year,
we're super excited about, which will be in 2026.
Awesome, yeah, something to look forward to. You're starting big plans. And,
Oh yeah. It's going to be a party.
Yeah, if any community knows how to celebrate anniversaries, it's the theater community.
Oh yeah.
So we'll look forward to that. So how has this year been? I think you have two more shows this season. You're about to open up Sherlock Holmes in the Precarious Position, which opens May 15th, runs through June 15th. And then, you have a few more. You have Sister Act opening July 10th, and then My Lord, What a Night, September 18th. So we're kind of not halfway through the season yet,
right?
But we're getting there. How's it been so far?
It's been great. Well, our season's a little different than the way most theaters do it. We run on a calendar year, so we're all year long, January through December, and so. That's our situation here. It's a little different, but so far the season's been really fun. We've had two really exciting and very different types of shows. Our first show being The Book of Will, which was really a love letter, I think, to anybody who loves theater.
Oh, sure.
Wants to be a part of theater or has been moved by theater in the past. I think they would have really enjoyed that
Without
show.
a doubt, yeah.
And the other one was a play called How to Write a New Book for the Bible, which is a very unique title for a play that's really about family and about love and loss and the intimate moments of family that are actually profound and great and in some way, in their own way, holy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and if you've dealt with anybody aging, an aging parent or anything like that, there's a special kind of relatability to that show, which I think a lot of us have had to deal with, a parent or a grandparent or something like that. But that was both shows emotional in their own way. Well, when you try to program a season, so if we take this season, for instance, and do you try to thread a certain theme through a season?
This season in particular is about friends and family. And so it's about not only like who is your family, but who's your chosen family. And so you'll see that as a theme throughout this entire season. And how those friendships define us, grow us, make us better human beings. And how even the difficulties in our families can actually strengthen us as human beings. So.
Yeah. Well, how does that, when you're planning a season, I assume you've started the next season planning. So do you pick a theme first? Do you pick a few shows and think, hey, how can I tie these together? What is the thought process like for that?
It goes, it can go several different ways. Like a lot of times I'll be working on a season, like I'll find a play that I love, right? And then I'll be like, what would work around this or with this and support this as a season as a whole. And themes will just start to arise. Like you didn't realize you were working on a theme, but there it is. And other times it's a little trickier when you're like, I don't really see a thread here, but I really like this season. I think maybe it's a season of adventure or joy or laughter. But sometimes you have to get something all-encompassing, right? Like that.
Yeah.
So, but with this season that we're in right now, it really was just a rising out of what I was finding and what I was seeing, and it was like, this is really about friends and family. It just came out that way.
Yeah, and it's something that I think that sort of sense of community among people that are familiar to us as big coming out of COVID, especially. You're so apart for so long, and it's apart from family members and friends. Just a quick question on the calendar year thing. Is that something that's always been that, or was that a conscious choice to be a little bit different than everybody else?
You know, it was a conscious choice that actually arose out of the fact that as members of the staff, we were like, do we want to be a theater that kind of takes a break during the summer, like a lot of theaters do? Or did we want to keep working all year round? And it was really a matter of deciding, because you have to remember, we built this up from a church basement to where we are now. And we were like, we'd like to have paychecks all year round. So we thought we'll make it a calendar year, and then that'll be our season, and then Christmas will be a special event that we do every year.
Okay.
And have a Christmas show, and it stayed like that the whole time.
Yeah, it's interesting how that story building up from a church. It's common in the community theater space, but to get to that next level of professionalism in the professional theater space has got to just obviously a lot of hard work, and I'm sure you have supportive donors and.
Oh yeah, we have the best. We have the best donors. We have the best board of directors. All of that. Yeah, a lot of support. It's been lovely.
And when do you, for next season, when would you plan on announcing that? Is that usually something that's in the fall, or? We
announce our season in July.
Oh, okay.
And it's the end of July that we usually announce it, and so we can get people going on resubscriptions and that kind of thing.
Okay. How's it, speaking of subscriptions, how have numbers been? I've seen from both the professional community theater space where people aren't as willing to commit to a full season as maybe they were before, because there's just that certain sense of uncertainty, even though those numbers are skewing up. Yeah. Has it been the same for you guys as far as subscriptions go?
We feel like we have been so fortunate and so blessed in that we are already, I was looking at the numbers today, we are already over 80% back to our 2019 subscription goals. And we're not done with subscribing yet. So I'm not sure how far we're going to get. We might get as far as 85% back. I don't know. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm super excited. And I feel really blessed because when I talk to my colleagues around the country, people are still struggling to get to that 50% level.
Sure.
And so to me, that's a real vote of confidence. But you're right. I do think that the way people buy tickets has really changed. We've noticed that a lot of people wait because I think that there's a lot of nervousness about if I buy something for 6 weeks from now, how do I know that I'll be healthy and be able to make it? Or how do I know that plans won't change in some way? We were just really noticing that you used to be able to sell tickets in a certain way, and it's not as, it's just not the same.
Yeah. Well, it brings me to another topic that I wanted to bring up, that Nikki, who is your is her title marketing director?
Marketing director, yeah.
Okay. Because she did the show intro when I was here to see how to write a new book for the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
And she mentioned the fact that she went through some of those stats as far as memberships and how well they're doing. But she also mentioned labor costs and how they've increased.
Yep.
And I think this is something that not a lot of people are talking about, is that new requirements and new ways of doing things, I suppose, coming out of COVID, affect that. So it makes the subscriptions and the donations that much more important. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about, but I'll do my best, okay? Because what people have to understand is when the theater shut down in 2020, the world looked a certain way. If I were to give you like one example, it would be something like the cost of a full-time exempt employee. The state of Washington has the lowest number, right? So that lowest number in 2020 was $35,000 was how much you had to pay, absolutely had to pay, a full-time exempt employee. That number in 2024 is $70,000.
Wow.
But what I want you to remember is we were shut down in 2020. We were shut down in 2021. We were starting to reopen in 2022, but it was back and forth. We got a little stronger last year, but we're still nowhere near where we were. This is our first year where I would say we're fully back. But the costs have doubled, and I'm talking about for everything. So that was one example. let's talk about a minimum wage. Minimum wage went from like $16 to now almost $20.
Yeah.
But it goes on and on like that. The equity rates went up. Everything went up. And the cost of living in Seattle went up. So theaters that should have been able to, be building alongside all of those things, that wasn't what was happening. We were shut down. And then we were losing our community. Like, we come back, and I would say we have a very different audience than we had before, which is not a bad thing. It's actually an exciting thing. But a lot of people who wouldn't have opted out just started going, well, I haven't driven my car for long distances in a long time. Maybe I don't like to drive late at night. It's hard to park. They gave themselves excuses to stay home because Netflix and chill is so much easier than going downtown or going to Greenwood, finding a place to park, and enjoying the theater. So the businesses like ours that should have been growing alongside and able to meet those costs, instead we're like this. As the costs continue to go up, we were like this. So there's a gap. And what we were trying to explain to our audience, what Nikki was trying to explain to our audience, is just in payroll alone, it costs $750,000 more to produce our season than it did in 2020. $750,000 more.
Yeah, that's not insignificant. And one of the other things she mentioned is I don't know if is there an understudy requirement? Because I know theaters are bringing in understudies because of the COVID.
There isn't a requirement per se, but we have not had to cancel a show for more than a year and a half. What was happening though when we were all trying to come back is we were canceling shows right and left.
I remember that,
because of COVID. And it just became necessary to do understudies. And so we created an understudy program that the way we do it is pretty unique to us, but it has been the most amazing insurance policy that we could have ever hoped for. But just that alone is $100,000 more a year than what we're used to, which wouldn't have been so awful except for we had a decline, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I don't think a lot of people know this, but absolutely everybody who buys a ticket to the theater or the opera or the ballet or music, they're buying their tickets at a discount. All tickets are discounted tickets. That's what the nonprofit model is, so that people can afford to come. The tickets are this price, but it really costs this much to do what we do.
Yeah.
And so we really rely on donations and support from government, industry, just different places, and we couldn't do it without that. So it's really with not only audiences being down, but I don't know if you know this, that giving worldwide is down. And for anything, giving for anything is down 40%. And that's people who give to hospitals, people who give to hunger, people who give to anything. It's all down. So that's kind of the world that we're facing right now. And so we decided we just wanted to be honest about it, because we've lost a lot of theaters since COVID, and I know nobody wants to lose another theater. Nobody wants to lose Taproot. So we're getting very smart about how we do everything, but we wanted to be clear that we're still going to need that help.
Yeah.
And we're still going to need that financial support.
Yeah, and it's imperative because like you mentioned, there's been a bunch of theaters local. I mean, worldwide or nationwide at the very least, theaters have gone by the way. But yeah, you mentioned I think it is probably part and parcel of this society we live in that seems to be skewing away from community and more towards individualism, and people not supporting. There's probably a million reasons why, but it is something.
There's a loneliness epidemic. I don't know whether you've heard that, but there's a loneliness epidemic. And actually, a place like Taproot, a place where you can come and be together in community and experience story together in community, is actually a healing and a soothing and a kind of a balm for that epidemic and that loneliness.
Yeah, I mentioned I put a Facebook post out the other week. I think it was in Edmonds and at the Wade James Theater over there, and before the show, I just closed my eyes and was listening to the people talking and the laughter, and then I opened my eyes. People were tapping each other on the back, and it was really refreshing to see and hear this sense of community. It's something we all really need, and it was gone for so long. But back to Taproot specifically, I want to talk about a couple of things. Multiple theaters that you have here. You've got the Jewel Main Stage, and you've got the Isaac Studio. I know you loan out or rent out the Isaac Studio to other theaters. Praditwani's been out here, and some others. Is it all? What else do you use the Isaac Studio for besides that? Is it a rehearsal space?
Oh, wow, yeah, it's busy all the time. We have our acting studio classes. In the summer, it'll be packed with classes happening during the day. We also do all of our rehearsals for our main stage, the rehearsals for our road company. So it's busy quite a bit with just the work that Taproot's doing. And then it's always a gift when we're able to let somebody else in to do their work. And we've had some amazing productions in there that have been, like our neighbors are here. They were here this weekend and will be here more. Dance Fremont is using the space right now to do a concert and a recital. So,
great.
Super excited. We've loaned it to also the School of Rock, and they would do their camp concerts in the space.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's been really wonderful to be able to use it for our neighborhood.
Well, you've mentioned in that description or explanation 3 other things that I wanted to talk to you about. The first was your educational programs.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what that is? Kids programs, adult programs, what do you guys offer?
Yeah, so it's a year-round acting studio, and we have classes for youth and adults, and it's been going since the 90s. In fact, that's when I came on to be a part of starting the youth acting studio.
Okay.
And that's a super exciting program. But one of my favorite things that we do is we do improv classes for early stage memory loss. So, and they're people who are suffering early stage memory loss and their caretakers come and take a class together. The thing that's so great about improv is it's just of the moment. It's just being there and listening. You don't have to have your memory, and it's a time for people who are the caretakers to get to laugh and really enjoy the people they've been taking care of, because it can be difficult.
Yeah.
And so that's an exciting program that is run by Pam Nolte that we've been doing for over a decade. And then the kids classes have been going on for 25, 30 years now. 30 years now, yeah. So it's pretty exciting, and it's great for the kids not only in our neighborhood, but people come from all over to take the classes. In our internship program, we have paid interns who come and help support it, and they come from all over the United States to stay with us for the summer and learn about teaching acting.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned touring, a touring company.
Yeah. So Taproot actually started out as a touring company, and they would tour around to churches, and then they started touring to schools. They were commissioned to do some touring for schools to talk about drug abuse and drug addiction. And right now what we do is we've been touring for, almost 20 years now, talking about bullying and bullying prevention. And so we travel all over the state of Washington, into Oregon, sometimes into Idaho, and we tell stories about how to recognize, report, and refuse bullying behavior.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's been going on we see about 130,000 to 150,000 kids a year.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite the reach. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How big of a staff do you have here for?
Oh, wow. I think we have the reason it's hard to know is because it changes. Like in the summer, we'll have a lot more because we'll have all these teachers with us and interns. And every show we have a different group. But in terms of full time around the theater all the time,
We kind of put you on a spot here.
yeah, it's a little less than 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's quite, I mean, to run a theater like this all year long is, I mean, I'm sure these are people that are all passionate about the theater. You
Oh,
almost
yeah.
have to be to get into it. But I think every experience I've had here, from the shows to the way things are, intermissions with the little snack bar you have
Yeah, the
over here.
curated
Yeah, it's
drinks.
pretty good environment for a show. One other question I had for you is, because you direct some shows,
Yeah.
do you look to direct shows every season when you're picking out your season? Do you have I tend to ask because a lot of artistic directors also direct, so I'm trying to ask this question of everybody.
Yeah.
How does that selection process work for you? Do you line up the shows and say, hey, I'd like to direct that one and that one, or do you have a show in your head that you'd
Wow.
like to direct before you even?
That's a good question. I really have never really thought about that, because directing is just part of the job. It's part of what I've been hired to do. So I know I'm going to direct, but I have an amazing associate artistic director in Brittany Beverly, and so I usually actually look to Brittany and say, what do you want to do, right? What's exciting for you? Because I want to make sure that she feels challenged and excited about what's happening. And then we'll go back and forth based on that, and then we'll try and make sure that each other has a cadence to the season where nobody's going to get worn out, right? So that's kind of how we look at it. But there are shows that I read and I think, oh, that one's mine. I really want to do that. Like last year, we did 2 shows that were kind of pet projects of mine. One was, we did Oscar Wilde's A Woman of No Importance, and that is a play that I wanted to do so I could complete the Oscar Wilde canon, because I had done all the other ones, and I was like, I want to do that last one, and it was very fun and exciting, and everybody was like on board for me to do it. But that was really a pet project. And then the other one was The Hello Girls. I read that play before COVID and was super excited about it, and it was iffy as to whether or not I was going to get to do it or not. And so when we came back, I was like, I'm in charge. I want to do that one. And everyone again rallied around and helped me make that happen.
Another excellent show. So if people are interested in supporting Taproot or volunteering, I imagine the website has information.
It has all the information that you'll need. And listen, any support, just coming to see a show, telling your friends about shows that you've seen here. But we also have wonderful ways that you can volunteer and support us by working in the front of house. But really, any word of mouth helps. And then, of course, money. Money supporting financially is also good.
All right, fantastic. So thank you again, Karen, for taking the time to sit down with me and talk about Taproot Theater.
I really appreciate, Greg, that you do this.
Thank you.
That you do this for theater in this area. We really need it. We really need it. We need that support. We need that love. So thank you.
Well, I figure, a rising tide lifts all ships. So
Yes.
the more we can get the word out there about all the wonderful theater offerings that we have in the area, it's not a competition. We're all in this together.
No. We need each other. We really need, I need every other theater here to succeed so that I can succeed too, because we share a talent pool of not just actors, but designers and technicians. And so I want everyone else to be succeeding, so there is plenty of work to go around.
Yeah, that's great. So Karen Lund, producing artistic director of Taproot Theater, once again, thank you for your time. For you watching, thank you again for supporting this out on stage. I am Greg Heilman. This has been Get to Know a Theater with Taproot Theater. Until next time, I'll see you at the stage door.